Welcome to another edition of Behind the Sawdust, where we give you the latest in woodworking news, tips, and tools. This episode is sponsored by mpowertools.com, by mywoodcutters.com, by Clearview Cyclones, and by Joburg's Workbenches. Please visit their websites at the links in the notes below the video. They pay the bills so you can get free woodworking infotainment. Now let's get started with the woodworking news. The March issue of Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal is now available at stumpynubs.com. It features more than a dozen videos and articles on all sorts of interesting subjects, from ways to upgrade your single-stage dust collector to techniques for making reproductions of antique furniture. You can subscribe to the monthly digital magazine for free at stumpynubs.com. The woodworking shows will be in Atlanta April 1st through 3rd. Some are calling this one the Super Duper Woodworking Show. And by some, I mean me, because it will feature a booth full of your favorite online woodworking personalities. At least 17 YouTube woodworkers, including Stumpy Nubs, will be in attendance for all 3 days of the show, talking to fans, signing autographs, and wondering why so many get so excited to see a bunch of people who shoot video in our garages. This is the largest gathering of video woodworkers since last year's Woodworking in America conference, which was nearly taken over by hordes of fans fighting to see Mike's mustache. This year's schedule includes a Saturday night dinner and drinks reception, which will be open to fans who can't get enough of this. For more details and a schedule of booth appearances, visit the link in the show notes. At this time, the Atlanta show is the only video woodworkers event planned this year, though I will be at Woodworking in America again this September in Cincinnati. As the Studley tool cabinet met its match, the famed tool storage masterpiece that has captivated woodworkers for years was once believed to be without equal. But another unique tool cabinet has recently appeared at a New Orleans auction house. While the Studley cabinet is compact in size and contains a number of piano-making tools, this one is considerably larger and is filled exclusively with the tools of a cabinet maker. Where this cabinet originated and who made it is a mystery we hope to be solved soon. Then Don Williams can write another book, and we can all move on to the years of inevitable debate and insults over which cabinet is better. I'll say Studley's is better because it shows a higher level of craftsmanship. You'll say the other one is better because I'm a dirty no-good son of a so-and-so and my mom is fat. We'll have a blast, so stay tuned. Mike Seamson's School of Woodworking in Minneapolis is teaching a class for young adults that immerses them in hand tool woodworking this June. The classes are low cost, but not everything can be arranged for free. So he's asking woodworkers like yourself to consider sponsoring a student. You can send financial support or donate a tool for one of the 16 young people to use. I think it's a great idea because, let's face it, most young people these days are useless. And if there's a way to pry the cell phones and selfie sticks out of 16 pairs of hands and replace them with actual tools, I'm all in. If you'd like to help the next generation bring a little less shame upon our society, check out the details in the show notes. The winter-spring edition of TrendLink is out. The semi-annual PDF newsletter features a variety of articles and innovative woodworking tools and techniques and can be found at the link in the show notes. Even if you're not interested in all that woodworking goodness, you'll want to enter to win a shop full of Trend products valued at $1,500. The sweepstakes ends April 30th. Walnut sales have been stagnant and dealers are blaming the price. Black walnut makes up just 5% of U.S. domestic hardwoods, but it's long been the top choice for high-end millwork. However, dealers who were once raking in the cash are finding that fewer contractors are willing to pay $7 to $10 a board foot for the higher grades. I've seen it as high as an obscene $14 a board foot. With the drop in sales, not only are hardwood dealers finding their wallets lighter, but sales of monocles and top hats have plummeted as well. The good news is that leaves more for small-scale woodworkers like us who make up the bulk of walnut buyers these days. It's also reported that more woodworkers are looking for the purples and streaks of white that are found in lower grades, which are often seen as flaws and reduced by a steaming process. As a result, dealers are stocking more or less expensive, unsteamed boards. So if you're a sap for sapwood, you may find a deal at your local supplier. See what I did there? Sapwood? Let's check out the blogs. Breaking news, Chris Schwartz has been talking about workbenches again. The man who made Roubeau famous recently visited the Pleasant Hill Shaker Village to look at their benches, and he's discovered some peculiarities that led to more questions than answers. One bench had 2 tail vices on one end. 2 on one end. Yeah, he was blown away by that too. The second was a Roman-style workbench that looked entirely out of place and may or may not have actually belonged to Julius Caesar himself. The two benches led Chris down a road of sleuthing not seen since the Hardy Boys classic Lost at Underhill Mill. I highly recommend checking out the blog. Yoav Lieberman has been making a frame saw in the old-timey way. He says that making a functioning tool is a fantastic skill-building exercise for anyone who studies woodworking, and he should know. Yoav has both studied and taught woodworking in more places than most. From books to magazines to websites, he's even headed the woodworking program at Harvard University's Elliott House, and I'm pretty sure that's the same Elliott from E.T., so this guy gets around. If you'd like to see how he gets around some of the challenges of making a bow saw from scratch, check out his 4-part blog full of step-by-step instructions and photos at the link in the show notes. Back in the January 2016 issue of Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal, we made a video manifesto about how the CNC machine has changed woodworking. It sparked a heated debate between modern woodworkers and traditionalists who see such technology as a threat to the craft. Well, if you think that CNC machines are bad, you got to check out the March issue of the UK's Woodworking News. It's a 32-page publication, big pages, and nearly every one is covered with high-tech machinery for the industrial shop. Woodworking indeed. Hand tool craftsman Paul Sellers noticed this too, and he recently wrote a blog about it that, strangely enough, said traditional woodworkers are winning. He argues that even though the term woodworking has been taken over by the manufacturing sector, there's a growing rebellion that seeks to take our word and all that it means back. Whichever side of the debate you find yourself on, you'll enjoy Paul's musings. Traditional plane maker Stephen Voigt has begun a new blog about old hand planes. He's beginning with a multi-part series on the double iron, one of the biggest innovations to hit hand planes since the invention of the hand plane. In the late 18th and early 19th centuries, double irons were so popular with woodworkers that they nearly drove single iron planes to extinction. What makes a double iron plane so different is something that even a power tool woodworker will find fascinating. I highly recommend checking it out. Bob Flexner admits that lacquer is a very versatile finish. It's easy to apply and you can control the drying time by adding the right thinners. But what's not so widely understood is the range of colors that can be found in various types of lacquer. For example, nitrocellulose lacquer will add a slight orange color to your wood. Water white lacquer is actually yellow, and CAB acrylic lacquer is perfectly clear. Why does all of this matter? Because different lacquers can be used to achieve different effects on different types of wood. So rather than just making your wood shiny, why not put some extra thought into how the right finish can really make your next project special? Aspiring wood turner Justin Fiaschetti has turned 577 pieces of wood into a baseball bat in a video that's nothing short of a home run. Some of the segments were so small he uses a shop vac to collect them as he cuts them on the table saw. The end result is absolutely amazing, and while I'm not sure if it would spectacularly explode in an actual baseball game, you really should check out his process. If you're looking for a less ambitious, yet still unique turning project, Stephen Johnson of Four Oaks Crafts has posted an extensive online tutorial for turning a pen from a deer antler. He finds his antlers in the woods, but if you're too foot heavy to sneak up on a sleeping buck with a hacksaw, you can find them online. Antler pens make really unique and fairly inexpensive gifts. Stephen uses a regular slimline pen kit, but how cool would it be if you used one of those shotgun-style pen kits with an antler barrel? I'm just saying. Our senior tool correspondent, Mustache Mike, is here to tell us what's new in tools.
Thank you, Stumpy. Craig Tools has introduced new 2- and 3-inch versions of their classic face clamps. They feature swiveling pads, locking jaws, and adjustable clamping force, just like their larger versions, but they're lighter and easier to use for many common projects. The smaller models will sell for $15 and $23. Fane has released a new line of accessories for oscillating multi-tools featuring a universal star mounting pattern. That's right, you can now use their high-quality cutters on their competitors' tools. Now that's a big step for the company, which for decades controlled the multi-tool market, only to see dozens of competitors spring up almost overnight when their patents expired. While Fane still makes a high-end multi-tool, lower-priced versions have taken a large bite out of their profit, which they hope to remedy with these new universal accessories. Titebond has released a new PVA glue they call Quick and Thick. They say it bonds wood as well as their other glues and is equally suited for ceramic, stone, glass, and other materials. It's 3 times thicker than their regular wood glue, has a very fast open time of 3 to 5 minutes, and sets in just 15 minutes. We think this is an interesting product with a lot of potential in certain situations. We'll have to get some in here in the Stumpy Nubs workshop and test it out. If you watched the video on the hybrid-free sharpening system that we featured in the March issue of Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal, you might be interested to know that the M-Power Precision Sharpening System from that video is now on sale at m-powertools.com. The fast and easy diamond sharpening jig is one of the most interesting tools we've seen in some time. If you haven't watched that full video review, you should do so. You get the link in the shop notes.
In the March issue of Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal, you'll find an article about a new company we recently reached out to in an effort to find a source for jointer and planer knife replacements. MyWoodcutters.com offers high-speed steel and carbide knives for machines from countless manufacturers, including those that are extremely difficult to find. They'll even make custom knives at your request. Now, while they are a sponsor of the show, we have full immunity when it comes to offering our opinions of their jointer and planer knives. So we thought it would be a good idea to see how they held up to Mustache Mike's standards for quality, performance, and overall value. So let's start with the first category, quality. How well were they made?
It's real hard to tell the difference with the naked eye between one high-speed steel and the other. So we bought another set so we could compare the My Woodcutters version to that. As far as the machining, it looked very nice. Wasn't any burrs, especially on the cutting edge. And even on the back side, it looked great. Good and thick, so you're going to be able to sharpen it multi-times. As far as the planer blades, well, they're obviously a little bit thinner always, so these have indexing holes, so they might not be able to be sharpened as many times as the other set of blades. Overall,
but that's common, right? That's common with planer blades. It's not something just to them.
Overall, I'd say they look just as good as any other replacement knives, so there's no reason to give them less than 5 full stars for quality.
Okay. What about performance? How well did they do their job?
You know, they say the knives are made from V2 high-speed steel, which is basically a higher level of vanadium than the standard ones. It's supposed to make them last 10% longer. And I think that in a small shop situation, that's going to be really kind of hard to prove or disprove. But I can tell you, we ran a whole bunch of hardwood through them, and they seem to hold up really good. And we've had other blades in here that, you know, after 15 minutes of running them already showed nicks and losing some of their edge. So I'm going to give them a solid 4 stars. The only reason I didn't give them 5, all planer blades are hard to change. It's just not their particular blades. Yeah, they're a pain. Even if you have a jig, they're a pain in the butt to change. Yeah. So
what about value overall? Are they worth the price?
Obviously, they're pretty much like anybody else's. They're just machine steel, but for many people like myself, it comes down to price. Our planer knives were $52. The joiners were $22. You can find cheaper blades out there, but reliability from the source. Are you going to find them cheaper? Maybe Amazon.com. They tend to be spotty. The one thing about this manufacturer, they got a nice, large, reliable inventory, and many of their cutters are as inexpensive as $15 a set. So it really kind of depends on your machine. They're made of that higher quality V2 steel, and they certainly shipped a lot faster than Amazon. Customer service was good. So that's, you know, what I'm going to say. It's a big consideration anytime you buy anything, especially on the internet. So first of all, you know, I kind of struggled a little bit. You know, for our particular machine, seemed a little high, but maybe for another machine, it's not so much. So if you got a machine too that takes hard to find knives, this company's really supposed to excel in a large selection of replacement knives. So we'll split the difference. We'll give them 4.5 stars for overall value.
All right. So there you have it, folks. MyWoodcutters.com's high-speed steel planer and joiner knives get 4 2/3 out of 5 stars, an excellent rating. For more information about our experience and the company itself, check out the article in the March issue of Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal. Well, that about wraps things up for this edition of Behind the Sawdust. Be sure to check out the latest issue of Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal, full of videos, articles, homemade tools, woodworking tips, and more. You can subscribe for free at stumpynubs.com. And don't forget to support our sponsors, mpowertools.com, mywoodcutters.com, Clearview Cyclones, and Joburg's Workbenches, because without them, we couldn't do all that we do. By supporting them, you're supporting us, and I can't tell you how much we appreciate that. You should sit back and have yourself a cold one, because you've earned it, my friend.